Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome back to your away day guide with myself and the away day queen, Queen Amy. Welcome back, Amy. Another away day is upon us. We've fired out the Plymouth away day guide. That got a record number of views for the series, so congratulations to yourself and Neil.
Oh, thank you.
And today we've got Wycombe, obviously moved to the Tuesday night. A number of people, it's been sold out by the town fans. We're travelling our numbers even during the week. Wycombe, a club that we were just discussing off air, has a mixed reputation among town fans. I'm not a great fan of them for various reasons, but you've got a little bit of a soft spot for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So my sister lives there. She has done for quite a few years. She lives there with her husband. So I've been down there lots of times to go and see her. So I know a bit about the club. I think if you were ever to meet my brother-in-law, you find it hard not to be persuaded by him when he's excited by something. And I don't know if you saw the video of him dancing he was DJing dressed up as a lobster for my mum's birthday this summer.
I did not. No,
he's a bit of a character, but he has grown up in Wycombe. Obviously has a lot of affection for them. Absolutely loves them. So it has definitely rubbed off, and I think seeing them turn into a championship club 2 years ago was very, very exciting, and all come from these new owners that just brought new hope, and I'm hoping that we end up replicating that ourselves. But yeah, it's definitely a different view, and I know a lot of Ipswich fans who just aren't fond of them, including yourself.
Yeah, well, they've various reasons, including that obviously promotion to the championship, bit anti-football I'd call them, but they're a Marmite side. They're back at this level. They have the rock star Gareth Ainsworth as manager, the guy with a look that I would just love to have, leather jacket, long hair, looks like he could bust out a guitar at any point, Amy, and serenade you with a beautiful song.
Amazing. I've actually got a signed picture of him in my study. I should have gone and dug it out. Brian got me a signed picture of him, and it was just before we played them 2 years ago, and he said he'd signed it, something about needing the Wi-Fi code for Adams Park. But yeah, he's a good sport, I think. And as my sister said, I asked her about Wycombe and about how she would tell people about the club at the moment, and she sent me a message saying manager Gareth Ainsworth is a club legend. She also said, actually, which I thought, there's loads of bits which I'll share with you guys, but I'll share this bit now. She said the only person anyone ever talks about is Akin Fenwa, which funnily enough is exactly who I mentioned before we came on air, with good reason, but we've got a decent squad. So I think that for them has been what's made the difference, is they've built this really quality squad over the last few years. Up until the owners took over a couple of years ago, Ainsworth was working with a very small budget and a very small squad with loads of loan signings. It's all sounding very familiar, very familiar, because we couldn't afford to buy, but they still managed promotion into League One with that small squad. But he's got a much wider squad to play with now. She also mentioned on the Wednesday show, we talked about previous players, and one of the ones that we picked up I picked out, who'd played for Plymouth in the past, is also playing for Wycombe now.
Oh, who's that?
The goalie, David Stockdale.
Oh, yes, he's the number one. Yes. He was brought in as number 2 last year, and now he's worked his way into being the number 1. Yes, you're right. I liked Stockdale when he was here.
I loved him.
Yeah, I had a soft spot. One of the jewels in the Paul Jewel rain, if you excuse the pun, wasn't his fault at all. But if you're new to the series,
Leeds lad as well, local boy.
Yeah, well, we'll hold that against him. But if you're new to the series, we go through previous games. We ask for your stories. If you're watching this on catch up, which you will be recording it, not recording it live, then do leave a story if you've got one, because we've only ever played at Adams Park once in our history. New Year's Day on Sky, we were a goal up and we fluffed it up. Typical Town on Sky. I hear you scream at home. But if you've got a story about that game, be it a pub, the trip in, the game itself, do let us know. And of course, the home game where Amy, it says a 0-0 in the stat book, but it should have been 1-0 because Caden Jackson toe poked it home, and the linesman, I want to say Farmer was the linesman, stuck his flag up for no apparent reason, probably sneezed, had the flu, it was November, and gave offside. I couldn't believe it. I still can't believe it.
You're still cross about it now, aren't you?
I am. My voice is getting up because, it makes me angry. But do you remember that game?
I remember really clearly just watching you all on Twitter, just absolutely blowing your top about the fact that it should have been a win. And also that it wasn't just that decision, that like the ref just seemed to be hounding us and letting everything go their way. And I remember the conversations at the time about how Wycombe were a small club and we were a big club. And I always get a bit touchy about us saying that, because I think we need to remember our standing at the moment, but it was true. And then of course Wycombe ended up despite being such a small club in comparison to us, they ended up going up, but I was at the away leg. I was at the away leg as well. We travelled down on New Year's Eve to stay with my sister. Had both boys. James must have been about 4 months old at the time, so it was really nice for me. That was one of my first games back after having James. But it was so I know we'll go through this in a bit. But I remember the ground really clearly and had a really nice away day. Actually, really quite a grown up one, which I rather civilized. Had a lovely lunch in a pub. Bumped into Mikey from Blue Monday, and I know. I think it was because I was a bit hungover from the night before.
There you go. The truth will worm its way out. There it comes. The truth worm is worming its way out.
I was dancing to Craig David on the midnight show. He was playing on the BBC's New Year's Eve show, so I was dancing to him at about 1 o'clock in the morning whilst Luke was trying to get James to sleep, and I was like, this is a top New Year's Eve. So yeah, it was a shame not to follow up such a nice evening with a win, but standard Ipswich in it.
It really is. It is standard Ipswich. So then the last two games, only 2 games in history. So where do you want to sort of take the guide now? We've got parking, we've got getting there, we've got pubs. Adams Park, the stadium. We could start with the stadium if you like. Where do you want to start? This is your guide, so you tell me where you want to go next.
I reckon getting there, because I think anyone you speak to who's ever been to Adams Park will tell you, as my sister said in her message, Adams Park is a ball ache. It's not easy to park near there. They've got the car park. You can see it from the away end. Mm-hmm. It's basically a hill. It's just, you see it packed out on the hill, so there is parking at the ground, but you'd have to get there early and be prepared to wait for hours to get out, because it's just like a long road that takes you back onto the main road, and so you can't go anywhere off that road. You just all have to tunnel down this road on the way out.
Just to tack on to that, looking at the Wycombe Wanderers website itself, it says there's no parking available on the day of the game. All passes in the upper tier must be pre-booked via tickets.wwfc.com for £10. The lower tier car park is fully booked. Street parking is also available in the vicinity of the ground. However, supporters are warned that traffic wardens patrol the area, and those that know Talking Town know I bloody hate them. The area regularly, and I'm always falling out with them. And we would ask you to park sensibly, respecting our neighbours in the Sands area. So parking does seem like a bit of a ball ache, as you say. Is there a park and ride?
Yes, not to my memory. Oh, is there? There we go.
The club operates a park and ride service from West Wycombe. So if you do drive to West Wycombe, you can get a park and ride. And yeah, absolutely. How far is it? Do you know from driving from say the Ipswich area? Do you know how long it takes?
I've never done that distance. I would say probably an hour and a half, maybe. I'm not.
Should we see how correct you are? If you left Portman Road right now, it would take you 2 hours and 18 minutes. So not the worst.
It's well off. Maybe it's just at my speed.
Yeah. Well, 2 hours 20 minutes for a 7:45 kickoff. Taking, I don't know, let's put another 40 minutes on for rush hour traffic. So I would leave, certainly middle of the afternoon. Certainly, wouldn't you? In terms of getting there in time for a glass of tap water, shall we say?
Oh, absolutely. You've got to take in some of the nearby pubs, I reckon. But personally, like I say, because my sister lives nearby, we always walk. But it's quite a trek from the train station to the ground. It is quite a far. Yeah, it's a long way. But that's what Becca and Brian do. That's what they find the easiest thing to do. But my sister did give us a tip that if you were to get a taxi, their companies around there, she recommends Tiger or Neil's, so that's quite might be quite handy.
The park and ride, the last shuttle to the game is 6:15, So the first one is 4:45. The last one is 6:15. So you've got a little bit of leeway there in terms of supping up time. Adams Park is a cashless stadium. Did you know that? It's now a cashless stadium. So put your clean.
I just remember not even bothering to get a beer at half time because the queue was huge. It was one little serving hatch. And that was like no bigger than my bed. It was tiny. And the queues for the men's toilet was going right down the whole in front of the stadium, in front of our stand. The ladies' loos only had 2 cubicles. So be warned, go for a wee before you get there.
Yeah. And strangely enough, the park and ride, to finish up with that one, it's cash only. So you have to take a little bit of cash. I know. The park and ride service is priced at £5 per vehicle, cash only. But you don't need cash at the stadium. So you need to get a little bit of money out to pay for the... that's fucking confusing. Never mind. But yeah, all right. That's getting to the stadium. Talk to me about the most important bit, the pubs for a pint of tap water, you understand, particularly if you're driving. But there's 4 I can see on this map. Or 5. There's 5. I've not been drinking, honestly, I swear, my lord. There's 5 pubs. Has your sister reported back on any public houses?
She has. I love her message about this because they are precisely well versed in what the right places to go are. So she says the Hourglass is the only pub close to the ground. It's not the best pub you'll ever go to, but away fans are usually welcome. Then she put in brackets if they behave.
Wow, yes.
And she says the atmosphere there is really good. They have beer tents at the ground, and there's usually decent food vans outside, which I can vouch for because I think I had a burger there last time on my way in. In town, best for ale lovers who want to try something new is the Mad Squirrel. So if you're in town, if you're coming in by train, that's one that Bex and Brian like their ales as well. So that'll be a good tip. Best for cheap drinks is the 3 Tons. There's also the Spoons, which is called Falcon and O'Neill's, which is just standard. There's loads in town to choose from, basically. Then she goes on to mention the Bombay Palace for British curries, Bluegrass Barbecue for some good burgers. I feel like that would be right up your street.
It certainly is, yes. I mean, you've had a burger from Wycombe. On a scale of big tasty is obviously your favourite. That's a 5 on a burger scale. Where did the burger you had at Wycombe rate?
Oh, I'd give it a solid 7, I reckon.
Oh,
I reckon
like
it's pretty hard to measure up to a big tasty in my world, though. That's an off the scale one.
With or without bacon?
You can't without. Why people put bacon on it? I don't understand. It ruins it, especially McDonald's bacon.
Why don't people put bacon on it? What are you on about?
It's wrong.
Oh, get lost.
And you cannot talk about Wycombe away without talking about the White Horse. Becca's message was, I would imagine most male away fans will head straight to the White Horse. If you don't know what that is by now, you don't need to know, is what she said. So do you know which one that I'm referring to? I remember it from the last trip.
I am a naive little boy with a halo. I do not know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. I will ask you off air. I won't ask you on the air. I can imagine. So, right. I didn't know they were.
Let's just say it's not my type of place at all.
Well, yes. Let's move it on. There's the pubs. Of course, they are in association with a fantastic ale that you can get in Suffolk called Away Day Beers. Do not forget, fantasy packs start at $14.99. Here he is. There we go. Let's book in the last conversation just on the back of an advert.
I'm hoping to get my Away Days beers out later today, actually, for fingers crossed, celebrating the win. But you'll have to help me because the only one I've had is the Hoppy Robson. So you'll have to help me decide which one to try out next.
Okay, I will. Where are we ending the Away Day guide today?
I think maybe how we feel we're gonna. I know it's a bit difficult because it's still a couple of weeks away, but how do we think? What are we expecting? And it really will depend, of course, on what we do in the build in between now and then. We've still got Today, Plymouth. We got anything midweek? Oh, Colchester, haven't we?
Well, that's not. Yeah, that's not really. I'll tell you what I would like. I'd like some pictures. If you're going to Wycombe, we'd love to start building up a little archive of away day pictures that we can obviously bring to the shows. Obviously not this year, but next year and further beyond. So, if you are going, we'd like some pictures. We'd like some pub reviews. And we'd like some stadium reviews, and park and ride. Let us know how the trip went so we can really use your research, your knowledge, your local knowledge after going to improve the away day guide for other people. Was that fair to say, Amy? To really improve it and build it as a catalogue of a living, moving thing.
Yeah, of course. I think it's the stories that people share that make it so special.
Absolutely.
This is why we love away days, is because that's where you make your stories, that's where you make your memories, and of course you do at home games as well, but there's something special about, you'll be talking for years about things that you've done on an away day, and so that's what I love to hear everybody else's. I've got various stories, that's why I'm enjoying making this, because I can share my stories with you guys. They don't all involve pubs, but the vast majority of them do.
And with Wycombe being such a relatively new fixture, as we can see from the recent history, you are a part of sort of the living history, if you like. We often say, Colin or Graham or so and so would know that game in 1983 or 92 or whatever. Whereas right now, we all can add to the archive of stories because it's happening right in front of us. So it's brand
Very
new.
true.
We're all on the level playing field. You can be the modern day Colin, Amy. Would you like that?
Can you imagine somebody looking up this away day, like searching in YouTube away day? And of course, I could never measure up to the goat. But can you imagine somebody searching on YouTube Wycombe away in 10 years' time or something? When I'll be nearly 50, that's terrifying. And seeing us chatting.
Never. No, you're spring chicken. But okay,
They'll be like, I didn't realise Ipswich were in League One. They've been Premier League winners for the last 3 years.
This is it. When you've just smashed Chelsea 6-0 on the route to the Champions League, people are going, my son is saying when he's 10, did we play Wycombe in League One, Dad? What were we doing down there? Well, just stopped for a pit stop, didn't we? Refueled, got rid of the deadwood, including the owner, and win again. But yeah, we're done. Okay. Our next away day guide after this will be, now I'm stumped, actually. What's our...
Well, I think that might be, it's quite a way away, but that may be a decision for you to make as the boss, is whether we are bothering with Colchester, because that the next away game after Wycombe is Colchester. So
that's a
whether
home
we
game,
want to... Oh, is it? Well,
well,
there we go. So we haven't even got that one then.
Yeah,
so the next away game after Wycombe is Sunderland. It's a long way away. So and one I've done a couple of times as well, actually. So that'd be an interesting one to talk about. Why did I think Colchester was there? Silly mummy.
Because there's basically a home in it. Either way, it's basically
that's true.
They're an annoyance and an irrelevance. But yes, okay, Sunderland it is. Join us then. Don't forget to hit the like button. Tell us your stories. Give us some feedback in terms of what you like, what you don't like, what you more of, what you don't want more of. But that is the Queen of Hearts. This is the Guv. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully see some pictures from the three points at Adams Parks.